In this video, we're going to look at how to solve the families of function style questions. These are the kinds of questions where you have unknowns in a function and you have to solve those unknowns with the information provided. This video in particular is going to focus on how we solve those kinds of questions for the hyperbola, the truncus, and the square root graph. For those who don't know me, my name is Chris Inazzoni. I used to work as an engineer for a defense company, and I've since left that to start a career in tutoring. I make these videos so that VCE students can do the best they can in math methods. With that out of the way, let's get into it. All families of functions questions will give you information about the function, and it's your job to figure out what the rule is of that function. The information provided will differ from function to function, so let's look at a few examples. In the case of the hyperbola, the information that you're likely to come across is going to be the location of the asymptotes. From our earlier studies in hyperbolas, we know that the vertical asymptote is purely determined by the horizontal translation. So if we have a vertical asymptote at x equals 3, then we know that our horizontal translation term h must have been 3. We also know that the horizontal asymptote is determined by the vertical translation. So we know if we have a horizontal asymptote at y equals 1, then our c term must have been 1. After that, we're just going to sub in the known point to solve for a. Now, some questions just want to know the values of the variables, in which case we've done our job. But sometimes you'll actually need to know the rule of the function. All we're going to do is sub in the values of those variables into the original rule. The truncus is quite similar to the hyperbola in that the key features you're likely to come across are going to be the location of the asymptotes. Once again, the vertical asymptote is dictated by the horizontal translation, hence we have h equals 1. In this case, we're not told the location of the horizontal asymptote. Instead, we're given another known point. So we can solve for the remaining two variables with a simultaneous equation by plugging in both of those points. I'm going to use the elimination method here, but the substitution method also works just fine. Once again, depending on your question, you might need just the variables or you need the whole rule. Just go back and read the question to figure out what it's actually asking you for. The information for a square root is likely to be its domain and range. We use this information to determine its overall shape. The maximal domain of 1 to infinity means that our graph is starting at x equals 1 and shooting off to the right. This means there's no reflection in the y. It also tells us that our starting x coordinate is x equals 1. And since the h term is purely responsible for this, it means that h equals 1. We're also told the range, which once again is implying that our graph is shooting upwards rather than downwards. This means that there is no reflection in the x either. The range also tells us that our starting y coordinate is going to be a half. And since we know that the plus c term is responsible for the y coordinate, that means that c equals a half. And just like before, if you want to solve for a, you're going to sub in the additional known point. If you found this video helpful, then you should consider joining my free community. I host a Q&A call every week to personally help you through any of your specific questions, and you'll also get access to more resources like this, including written and recorded lecture content, as well as practice exams and SACs with detailed solutions. It's pretty cool, you should check it out. I'll see you there.